All right, we're going to make a start. Thank you for coming today. We're also recording this and we'll be distributing it later. Today we're focusing on iExplore, what you can choose, how you might go about choosing, what's on offer. But most of all, it's not very many slides. We like to be able to ask questions after as well. So my name's Caroline Cluley. I lead iExplore overall, but iExplore consists of quite a few different streams, and we have stream leaders for all of those here, so you'll be seeing some different faces. The three main streams in iExplore are our STEM modules, our business and entrepreneurship modules, BPES, and Horizons. Now, what the overarching aim is of iExplore is to take you out of your discipline and give you a new perspective. And each of these different streams will do that in a different way. Some will be offering you modules on completely different subjects that maybe it's an interest you already had, but outside of your discipline, or something you've never seen before. Whereas others might hook into the knowledge and skills you have, but shine a different light on them and get you to work with people who have a different perspective. So really what we want to get out of this for you is to broaden your perspective. We will talk about each of these different streams, but first I just want to put this a little bit into context. This is the most complicated diagram. We'll move on soon after this. We're talking about the central part here, iExplore, which consists of Horizons, BPES, and the STEM modules. But you may well have seen Horizons and BPES mentioned in other contexts too. And that's because both of those streams are also available to some degree outside of iExplore. So please don't get confused. If that's the case, your own discipline, your own degree course might allow you to take a Horizons module for credit or a BPES module for credit outside of iExplore too, but that's not true for everyone. Everyone can do Horizons for extra credit too. But iExplore gives you the opportunity to take these modules for ECTS counting towards your actual degree program. So let's talk about the STEM modules. These have been designed specifically for iExplore. So your only way of taking these is through iExplore. These are, it's actually a huge variety of different modules, and they are taught by academics from the different departments. Most departments take part in this, and there's a lot of collaboration going on as well. So we even have public engagement involved, outreach involved, the Grantham Institute, the graduate school. So it really is staff all across college. And the focus generally is one of our STEM subjects, but not as an introduction to or a bird's eye brief overview of, but to look at some of the most important areas in STEM or our research area in university and put them in sort of a real world context for you. And that means that they are all designed to be open to everyone. So, for example, if you're a medic and you could take a module offered by the Hackspace on creating robotics that are driven by machine learning algorithms, even though you've never coded before and you don't know anything about machine learning. Similarly, if you're a mathematician and you're really interested in how maths really has a wider context and a different way of looking at it, but you still want to be in maths for that, you can take your own department's maths course. Not for an easy ride, because unfortunately it doesn't work like that. You've still got a lot of learning to do in that, but it just gives you a new context. We have modules on personalized medicine. We have modules on origins, on physics, so think about origins of the universe and life as well. But we also have things like science, cooking, and performance, or thinking through materials, where you're actually going to be part taught by staff from the Victoria and Albert Museum across the road, and you're going to actually go into that museum and work with their collection as well. So there's a huge variety there, and you would really, if you look at the STEM modules, take a bit of time to see what they're really offering you, because it isn't as simple, straightforward to choose from as, for example, something that might be within your degree program. So it really give you a bit more context. Now, to go on to the other streams, just hand over to the BPES team for a moment. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Greta Fralli. I'm the program manager for some undergraduate provision within the business school, including the BPS, and I'm joined also by Bella Nagel, who is the program coordinator. So, as you probably know, the business school is the youngest of faculties. However, we have been delivering business modules for undergraduate students for over 30 years. So we have a lot of experience with undergraduate students in different fields, studying different degrees across the universities that are willing to expand their view, their understanding of the world, and specifically, of course, business management, tools and techniques of management and theories. Now, regardless really of the career path that you will be doing, the modules offered by the BPS are really for anyone. Whatever career you decide on, you will be working with people. The enterprise that you will work with will need to be financed. You will be impacted by the economy of the world, by political systems. So having an understanding of what impacts a business and even your day-to-day work is important. Now, I won't give you the list of modules that we offer. However, these are all available in the BPS iExplore page, but also in the BPS page of the business school. We cover from business kind of strategy to finance, entrepreneurship. So there's a very varied selection. We have modules that run in the autumn and spring. Many of those are in-person modules that are taught 4 to 6 p.m. On Thursdays, but we also have a selection of online modules as well. So it's really what you can commit to as well if you want to do a BPS module. By nature, the online modules don't present that interactive kind of opportunity, but they are built for you to choose your own time and space to go through the weekly learnings and also set out time to meet with members of your group, because most of our modules have group coursework, including the online modules. There will be optional online session that you'll be able to take, which will be live online sessions, though optional, as I've mentioned. While the in-person modules are really based on a classroom interaction. So you will probably not be used to that type of lectures style, maybe in your degree, but it will be about interacting with the lecture theatre, having group discussions, classroom discussions with the lectures, a lot of back and forth, exploring topics in a very kind of explorative way, having case studies to go through, real-life examples, so putting right into practice the theories that you'll be learning. So our general suggestion is really to, if you're interested, to try out modules through iExplore, to have kind of that way without the commitment of knowing that the mark of the module will go into your overall degree mark. So you have a bit of more kind of possibility to try something completely new. Yeah. I would also like to mention a couple more things about the assessments that we have in the modules. So a lot of the modules are group assessed. They have coursework with group assignments. However, there are some that are individual. We really, there is an area of different assessments throughout all the modules. Most of our modules also have exams, so if you are interested in a module, I would really encourage you to check whether there is an exam or not, and check the timetable of these exams. We have already a published provisional timetable in the BPES page of the business school. So have a look, especially for those of you that might have a placement. It's important to check that you could actually commit to the module and taking the exam. What else can I tell you? I mean, it was already mentioned that there are different ways to take BPES modules, so make sure that you're not registering for kind of the same modules through different routes, or similar modules through different routes. If you have any questions about that, please do ask. There's some of you that may be unable as well to take BPES modules if you are with management program, or are thinking to transfer to a with management program or an intercalation in management. So do ask us questions if that's your case. Now, Bella, am I missing anything else?
I think you've covered everything.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, so yeah, now thinking about Imperial Horizons, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Imperial Horizons. My name's Dr. Mark Pope. I'm the Deputy Field Leader for Changemakers. That's one of the 3 fields within Imperial Horizons. And in a moment, I'll pass over to the other 2 field leaders who will tell you about languages and humanities and social sciences, respectively. But first of all, yeah, a few words about Imperial Horizons. So Imperial Horizons was established in 2012, I believe, yep. And really it's been designed it's been designed especially for you as undergraduates studying here at Imperial College, now studying STEM B degrees. And it's your opportunity to do something really different and to broaden your horizons, as the name suggests. So we offer a really large range of different modules across the humanities and social sciences. There's a large range of languages where you can study languages, learn about different cultures and societies, and also in Changemakers you can really try to address global challenges. So this is your chance to do something different, I think very different to your STEM degree, and we have a range of lecturers who have the expertise and teaching skills to support you in doing this. We do get very good student feedback. One of the things that students comment on in their feedback, and also to me personally, is how they've appreciated being able to do something that's very different. Very different in terms of the subject matter and in the ways of thinking and studying and working. So this is really your chance to do a degree level module in a very different discipline or subject area, and with the support there to help you do this. Imperial Horizons modules are all very interactive as well. I mean, the languages obviously so, but also humanities and social sciences and Changemakers modules. So another thing that students report back is that this is a great opportunity to develop your soft skills, whether that's related to communicative skills or team working skills. With Horizons, all the modules are 20 weeks long, all the ones in iExplore. So you'll study those from October through till March. For second years, that's on Mondays from 4 till 6, and for third, fourth years, that's on Thursdays from 4 till 6. And I think that's my introduction to Imperial Horizons. So we'll now move over to the different fields. As I said, there's 3 of them, and I work in the Changemakers field. So in Changemakers, we have 8 modules for iExplore, 4 in the second year and 4 in the third, fourth year. Our modules, well, we have lots that focus on sustainable development, but they're all about creating positive change in the real world. So we have lots of authentic, real case studies and examples that we get students to work on, lots of project work, and there's lots of choice for students within the modules to choose what topics or subtopics they want to focus on, and we'll support you with the particular tools, approaches and methods that you need to do that. To give you a couple of examples of the modules that we offer, In the second year, we offer 2 Global Village modules, the Global Village Innovation Challenge and the Global Village Visual Arts Challenge. In that module, you'll choose a community from a different part of the world and either go on to produce a design that furthers sustainable development for the Innovation Challenge or a piece of artwork inspired by your research of that community. Another module I'd like to mention to give you a taster of the kind of things we cover is the My World Be Happy module, where students get to research their own happiness and then design a kind of intervention into their own life in a kind of attempt to improve the situation and then assess how that's gone. So those are the kinds of things we offer. It's all about making change in the real world, whether it's related to another community or related to yourself. That happens on all our modules, some more focused outwards and some more focused inwards. And yes, I would say with regard to assessment, we don't have any exams. It's all coursework. Lots of different assessments. We try to give you the chance to express yourselves as much as you can. So we do video essays for our Sustainable Futures module in the 3rd, 4th year, and the Changemakers Independent Project actually asks you to negotiate the format in which you present your final project with your tutor. So yeah, we think lots of good diversity and student choice there as well. So yeah, that's it for Changemakers, and I'll pass over to Dr. Weatherburn.
That's me. Hi everyone, I'm Michael. Great to see you all. Thanks for having me. So I'm the field leader of Humanities Social Sciences in the middle there. This is a bit bigger program. I would say it's between 20, perhaps even up to 30 courses each year for iExplore, 20 I think, in any given year. We also provide courses in year 1 and some other areas which you'll hear about a bit later. So within Humanities Social Science, we should probably put arts in the title soon as well, because we're expanding that kind of provision. Most of the courses we offer, the names will be quite familiar to you. You can probably do degrees in those subjects, and many of your friends, perhaps from school, will have gone on to do those. So it'll be things like politics, philosophy, history, psychology, art, music technology, and so on. And as Mark said, we get excellent feedback, real enthusiasm. It's a really great, very big cohort we get every year. Some things to highlight. You can look up the courses on the website, but it's just some kind of inner knowledge that we've developed over the years. So there are different reasons why people choose these courses. The kind of the official reason is people want to try something new. Yeah, and we know everyone in the room is a STEM B degree student, and therefore the assumption might be that people are experimenting with new things or they're curious, and that's true. Yeah, but actually in a lot of cases we find that students had to drop subjects they were passionate about or they were doing as a hobby because they either didn't have the time or essentially their school or their family said they should drop something at GCSE level because they had to get the grades to get into Imperial or other universities. And that, I remember this, a long time ago for me, but I remember this pressure and having to drop things I was very passionate about. For me it was history, which then I picked up and now I have a PhD in history. So there was a gap of about 10 years and then I revisited the subject. So it could be there's something you've really enjoyed in the past, formally or informally, that you want to pick up again and do in a structured, specialist way with other students from around the university. Speaking of which, taking one of these courses, and indeed any iExplore, is a great way, a deliberate way of meeting people with similar interests from across the university. So you might do that in a society or a club, or you can do it in an educational context here. And we're building up a body of evidence that suggests that people do stay in touch with each other after they've even finished their degree. So it is a really useful way of meeting people with similar interests for hopefully some really strong, long-standing connections. Another thing which Mark, he was talking about assessments, and you could think of it in a different way. You could think, yes, I'm interested in this subject, and you can think about it, I'm interested in how I'll be assessed. HSS has no written exams anymore. We dropped them quite some years ago, actually, to move on to perhaps more applicable, more appropriate, more useful types of skills development. So you could think of it as assessment, and then you're done. Or you could think of it as a skills development. So you could think, well, this course has a presentation, or you make a creative output of some kind, I'll talk about in a minute, and I really want to get better at that and have a structured way of learning about it and being assessed on it and being given feedback. And that is something, it's another way of selecting your courses across all of iExplore and also within this field. The other thing I want to say is you'll look at the courses, and sometimes when you look at them you can't see like which are big courses, which are small, which are popular, which might have some extra spaces on and so on. right? And we do have charts and so on, but there isn't full time. You can ask me about that in the questions if you want. But the one I would like to say is a thing called a humanities project. Yeah. Now that originally started as a kind of dissertation, and people would we've had 20 this year, I think. I'm second marking them tomorrow. Often they're things like philosophy, history, politics, and so on. Yeah. But what I want you to do is to encourage you to think in a expansive way about this, because within that option there's a thing, it's in this small print in the assessment, but you can do what's called a creative output, which is essentially not a dissertation, it's a creative product with a short essay written about it. So it allows you to be taking something very creative for credit. I would love people to do more, and in fact in the future we would love to do more. I just want to give you a quick summary to finish off of projects we've had done within this creative humanities project option. We had a cello recital, which I attended. A guy got a very old cello and a new one, and was describing how people try to recreate. In classical music, apparently the debate is, do you recreate the music as Mozart would have heard it, or do you optimise it for the present day to be, quote mark, better than what Mozart would have ever heard? And he was playing the different versions live, and it was super interesting. A couple of years ago, someone wrote a whole collection of poems. Poetry is their thing. They got assessed on that. It was great. And these are all usually very good, by the way. Last year, we had a screenplay, someone wrote a whole script, and it was really interesting as well. And already I've had a proposal to write a short novel. None of those things I thought you would ever be able to do. Probably when you arrived at Imperial, you'd think that's a hobby rather than a formal course or assessment. And I would love to have an even longer list of those in the future. Look forward to your questions, and right now I'll pass over to Dr. Iria Gonzalez Becerra to hear about languages.
Thank you. Gracias. Hi everyone, how are you? Hola, ¿qué tal? My name is Iria Gonzalez. I am the languages field leader and the Spanish coordinator. So I'm here to talk to you about all of the languages that we offer as part of iExplore, but also mainly as part of Horizons. So we offer 10 languages, including the main European ones. You've got your usual load of, Spanish, German, French, for example. And we also offer Asian languages, and we also offer BSL. So there's a whole host of different new worlds to explore out there with us. Now, in terms of which one to pick, for iExplore, the one caveat is that you can only pick a language at level 2. That means post-GCSE or equivalent. So if you want to try a new language, the way to do it is to start through the Horizons program, a beginner's class, and then continue it as your iExplore. But in any case, if you've got, for example, a special interest in a language that you have studied independently, if you have got family, you're a heritage speaker of the language that you're interested in, that is something that we're more than happy to recommend you on. So just come and talk to one of our coordinators of languages, and we'll be able to guide you on your learning pathway. What else about languages? Languages are small groups. They're very interactive sessions. We usually have got a maximum of around 20 students per class, but most of the groups are actually of around 10 people. So in a way, there is no escape. You do have to, talk to others. You'll have to actually, work in pairs, work in groups. We also do quite a bit of assessment. Languages are learned through continuous assessment. What that avoids, in a way, is to have a very big lump of assessment at the very end of the module. So we spread throughout the 2 terms all of the practice that you will need to do. It's almost like going to the gym. You do get fit by actually going to the gym several times a week, rather than, oops, the marathon is next week. I'll get ready now. You possibly have seen what has happened in the London Marathon, right? Yeah. So I think that also if you have studied in, for example, let's bring this back. In a school that is not in the UK, do come and talk to us, because we know about most qualifications. And we get a lot of good feedback from the students. So whilst we kind of know that learning a language is hard, whilst we know that it's kind of difficult to be put on the spot and speak in a target language, we always try and make everyone feel comfortable and welcome in the classroom. And you may be wondering, if, assessment, what does it entail for languages?
So for languages, the majority of it falls onto 2 pieces of coursework or several pieces of a small coursework. We work on a sort of portfolio basis. What you may be doing on that coursework is actually practicing the 4 skills. So it's not just going to be memorizing grammar. It's not going to be just writing. You're also going to be speaking. You're also going to be listening. You're going to be reacting critically to something. You may also be doing reflective pieces on your own learning so that your teachers can understand how are you learning and how to help you better on an individual basis. And one of the best things about the language courses assessment is that you will get feedback from the very first term. So we will know very well how you are progressing and where you are struggling. And then the last 2 bits of assessment at the very end, once you are ready to actually, hopefully succeed at it, will be a written examination, usually of 1 hour, and an oral exam, which tends to be quite short. Most of the examinations are usually around 10-15 minutes with your own tutor. So I'm going to stop here because I know that maybe you have got more questions, and I'll be happy to discuss all of this again with you in the Q&As, but I'm going to pass on to Caroline.
Thank you. Okay, so you've heard something about the huge variety of modules we have in iExplore, so let's get on to some practicalities. You can now submit your preferences. There's no rush, though. This is not a first-come, first-serve. So there's a window for selection. You choose your 6 preferences ranked. So make sure that whatever your favorite is number 1, etc. And then by the end, when the selection window closes, we run an algorithm that allocates people in an optimum way so that as many people as possible get their first preference. We tend to pretty much get everyone in the top 3 ones. So do think carefully about those preferences. Take your time. So I know there's a lot of different modules because our sort of philosophy behind iExplore is to say, yeah, well, we know you all have to do an iExplore module, but what we don't want to do is say, you have to do something like this with 200 other people at once. We've gone for variety, so there's something there for everyone. Sometimes that takes a little bit of looking into it. So take your time, look at the sort of topics you might like most. They are not always, there might be similar topics in different streams, so do look broadly. And then if you've identified your top, well, let's say your short list, do dig a bit deeper and have a look at what they really are like. Just the title won't say everything. It can sometimes be that a lecture means one thing with the title, but you think it means something completely different. So we have the iExplore webpage where you can look specific by year group. So look at either year 2 or year 3, depending on what's relevant to you. And you have until the beginning of June. What should you be looking for when choosing? So you've already heard there's so many different ways of learning and assessing in the different iExplore modules. And many modules don't have any exam at all. And even those that have exams will be quite different from the type of exams you're used to. So have a look first at the topic area. What do you find interesting? What might be a long-lost interest that you never had time for? What might be something completely new that actually sparks your interest as well? Can you get enthusiastic about it? That's the number one thing. Then have a look at the things like, what are the learning and teaching methods? So will I be working asynchronously online because then I can fit it around my other commitments because, I'm a 3rd year, but on Thursdays I want to zoom off to sports straight after, so I can't really easily do things in 4 to 6 slots, even though it's on your timetable, and I want to do something asynchronously. Or do I really want that in-class interaction? And is that super important to me? Do I want to do independent research, or do I want something that's more taught? Those things are important because I doubt I'm just trying to think of an example, but I doubt there's any examples where an iExplore module will be very similar to how you're taught and how you learn in your own degree course. So that does matter. If you think you're going to be sitting there like you are now, listening to the lecturer, you might well be mistaken because there's not very many that go like that. So pay attention to that. And is the type of assessment something that appeals to you? Do you think you might get something out of that? Do you think you can put some of your interests and enthusiasm into that as well? And of course, have you got any practical limitations? So have you got, for example, one term that's super busy and you should avoid? Or do you actually prefer to not have any flashpoints, but just spread your load throughout the year? I'm pretty sure that comes up here, yes. Because every iExplore module, with asterisk, I'll come to that, almost every iExplore module counts for 5 ECTS, except languages. They're 7.5. But even if Horizons modules are 2 terms, and BPES modules are 1 term, and STEM are mostly 1 term, they are still the same amount of work in total. So if you go for 2 terms, it's more spread. If you go for 1 term, imagine taking the same amount of learning and content and squishing it. So your other term's free, but you will need to do more work in between sessions if you have a 10-week one. So think about what works for you. You do have to pass because these are degree credits, and you know you can't pass to your next year if you don't have all the degree credits. But although you get a mark and it shows on your transcript, it won't count towards your overall degree calculation. So if you are brave and you choose something completely, you may think, I have never done any practical art. I'm going to do it now, and I'm taking a practical art course. You have no idea if you're any good, and actually you find it really hard, and you struggle, and you don't really do as well as you normally do. That isn't a problem, because if you get 40% and you're on course for a first-class degree, that 40% will not count towards that first-class degree. So you can't tank your own degree class. And why we've done that, it's a very complicated idea. Where do we balance that so you still want to take part, but you feel like you can take some risk? It's all about giving you that freedom to try something. And so will the lecturers be doing that. They will also think, let's try something different, let's try something new, and you're doing that together. So when you choose, I really would say be a bit adventurous. You're not going to go wrong by trying something new. And really look outside the box that you're generally in, because this is your opportunity to do something really exciting. That's it from us, but now really comes the moment where you can ask individual questions if you like, or if you think it's useful for everyone, just stick up your hand. If you want to stay after, that's fine too. I'm going to leave this up because most people will ask about that. So it's a whole committee here suddenly.
Yeah.
Are there any questions at this point?
Yeah. You may also want to just go on the website and have a look through the list of modules, and here we are to help you. We look at Kerry.
Yes, please.
Hi. I just want to know, will the module assessment time be the final week of each term? And is there a possibility the time will be the same as my department exam?
So that's a really good question. I'm repeating it for the recording. Is there any possibility that... Oh my God, the test just came up. Is there any possibility that the timing of the assessment clashes with assessments in your own degree? So it's 90% no clash, but there's some slight changes. So I'll hand over to BPES in a minute. But let me first say, all in the STEM modules, languages, and all of Horizons, I believe, the assessments are always timed in that slot, the iExplore slot. And your department will not schedule anything in that slot. Even if sometimes it sounds like there's a lab that goes to 5 or something like that, actually we've talked to all the departments about all these instances, and they just say, oh, the lab is open for them, but we don't have any teaching in that slot. If you ever have a problem with that, you come to us because we intervene. So no, there's never an exam just scheduled differently. There is some difference with BPES, so let's pass that on to you guys. Yeah.
Do I have to talk into that?
It was to pass it on.
That's fine.
So I will say with BPES, most of the time there's no kind of clashes with exams and things. On the rare occasion that there is a clash, it's something that our exams team would work with your department to kind of find a resolution, whether you sit the exam in a different room and go straight after, another exam, or if we can figure out the timing somehow. But that's nothing for you to kind of stress about. That would be something that our exams team would talk with your department about. In terms of other clashes,
I would just mention a term, just to mention when the exams take place for BPES. So if you're taking an autumn BPES module, the exams would be after the Christmas break. So the very first week that the kind of the first week of January, like the second. As soon as that week with the bank holiday is over, then the following one is the exams week. For the spring modules, the exams usually follow at the end of April / beginning of May.
If I may add to that, I wouldn't be too concerned. Chances are your assessment will indeed be at the end, and that's where all of your assessment is. However, the important thing with the iExplore modules is that you engage and you learn. Any assessment that any of us are actually producing is not about penalizing you or just giving you a mark for your final degree. This is about you showing what you have understood. And remember what Caroline was saying, you just need a bare pass. So in a way, our recommendation, and I know that it's very easy to say it from where we are, I mean, we've already got our degrees, right? is that don't think about the exam, think about the progress that you have done. Think about the learning that you're going to be experiencing on a weekly basis. And the examination at the end, it's a by the by. However, indeed, we are part of, the Horizons slot is there apart from BPIS, and there shouldn't be a clash on the day. And if you're thinking about a language and you're thinking about your oral exams, the oral exams are usually on the third term, and we do we publish a lot of slots, and we try and make sure that these fit the students' availability.
Yeah, and that is very much number one priority in iExplore. We work with every student in every department. So we work with all departments. We have continuous communication on all fronts. So it's our number one mantra. If there's ever an issue, tell us, because we will sort it. And we do always make that happen.
Say the iExplore is like for 2 terms, and we need, I think, 5 credits towards a degree, and say we failed one of a term. Is it possible, like, the extra credit that we might have had from the year before could, like, compensate for that one term?
So the question is, can you fail, like, one term of iExplore and then use extra credit from previous times to compensate? So first of all, you get one overall mark for your iExplore module. So it doesn't matter whether it's a 1-term module or 2-term module. You don't choose like one module in term 1 and then another module in term 2, for example. It's just one module. Almost all the modules do have several pieces of assessment that all contribute with different weighting towards the final mark. You don't normally need to pass all those pieces. And if there are specific pieces that are a must pass, you have to pass it, it's very clearly explained by the lecturer. But that's non-standard, I'd say. So you only need to pass the overall. Compensating that is, if you get like nearly a 40%, so something like 38%, your home department can use the same compensation rules as they do for your other degree modules. We don't have a say over that because it's your home progression board that decides that. Failing is pretty rare. Can I just say that in iExplore we have very few fails, and those that fail are the people who had a reason to not engage, whether that's a personal reason or if they just don't want to engage, or mitigating circumstances. We deal with those, obviously. If you engage, you will pass. That is how it works normally. Yes, question?
So we only choose one module, even though some are like 10 weeks and others 20?
Yes, so we only choose one module, even though some are 10 weeks rather than 20. Sorry, it sounds weird, just repeating for the recording. Yeah, because they're the same amount of credits. And don't mistakenly think that 10 weeks is less work than 20 weeks. 10 weeks is more intense. So, for example, I currently teach a 10-week module, which is actually changing to 20-week next term. I'm doing the same amount of stuff. In 10 weeks, I am expecting a fair amount of work between sessions, like at least as much work in between sessions as in the sessions. Whereas in 20 weeks, I'm going to be expecting minimal work in between sessions. So that's the difference between 20 weeks and 10-week modules. So to choose a 10-week module, just bear in mind it's not just showing up for 2 hours every week. You will also have to work in between. Otherwise, it couldn't possibly be 5 credits. We have to somehow show you're still learning enough. Mm-hmm. Yes, over there.
The
if you're taking a language module for a year abroad, are you more likely to get it?
Right. If you are planning on spending a year abroad and you have loved what BPES has said, what Caroline has said about STEM, you want to do a, music technology module, you won't be able to because you're going to have to do languages. So a part of what we do in Horizons languages, I know, it's like I'm dangling it there. But so usually students at Imperial will go abroad on the 3rd or 4th year. So we are always in touch with the department to know who those students are, to make sure that they get language tuition for the 2 years previous, at least, of going abroad. So if you're going abroad on your 3rd year, 1st and 2nd year, you have to do the language. If you're going abroad on the 4th year, 1st, 2nd and 3rd year, you have to do the language. Also, we give an extra piece of tuition to these students to boost their communicative ability. So sometimes the students change their mind after the 1st year. On the 2nd year, they suddenly go, actually, I really want to go abroad. And then, yes, you can choose languages iExplore, but I would recommend come and talk to us so that we know who you are, so that we can give you the extra boost of tuition. And also, we're going to be quite fair in our appraisal of how feasible it is that you can get ready in the sufficient time. But I think that would be something to be discussed with each coordinator. But an excellent question, because we do check through the list. It's like, oh my God, this person is going to Spain next year and they've signed up to music technology. So I just need to make sure that you're getting the language that you need for your stay abroad.
So just a follow-up question on that. If you're doing if you're doing a year abroad, you have to take your iExplore sim language on the...
Indeed, yeah. You have to take a language on your 1st year as part of Horizons, and when you come up to pick up your iExplore choices, then you have to take the language. However, sometimes in some departments, and I don't know whether this is the case for departments that send the students on the 3rd year abroad, they may leave the iExplore option for when they come back on the 4th year. So that's when you've got a chance to, fulfill the iExplore component. But if you're doing languages as part of preparation for your combined degree, that would fulfill the iExplore requirement. We had another question there, I believe.
If you do one of the 10-week modules, do we have a chance of taking another one on the other term?
If you're on a 10-week module, do you have a chance to take a 2nd module on the 2nd term?
That's a good question. We have been asked that sometimes. Not via iExplore. You can only take one in iExplore. There is, I suppose, the occasional opportunity where, say, you take a STEM module for iExplore and a BPES module not through iExplore. Because a fair few degrees have like BPES written in as one of their electives within the degrees. And then you can, in that sense. Yeah. But certainly the STEM modules are only in iExplore. Yeah. Does that make sense?
So you can basically combine, I assume. So once you fulfill your iExplore, then what you need to look at is at what Horizons courses or open, is it BPES is also in Horizons, isn't it? So BPES and Horizons offer subjects outside of iExplore. So maybe you want to be a strategic and have a look at what subjects are only iExplore and what subjects are outside of iExplore too, and then plan accordingly.
But be aware that you can't take like a Horizons not for credit, extra credit module in the same year as your iExplore because the slots would overlap. They're in the same time. Yeah. So it would be a different year. Yeah. But you can do that in year 4 as well.
That's what
Good. Any other questions?
No, I was just going to say that you can't take a Horizons module outside of iExplore and an iExplore module in the same academic year. So Horizons is open to you in year 1, year 2, then you might have your iExplore module in year 3, and then you can come back to Horizons in year 4. Or if you have your iExplore module in year 2, you could do Horizons in year 1, year 3, and year 4, for example. The only option to take an extra module on top of your iExplore module is if you can do a BPES for credit in the same year. And then you have to be very careful to make sure they don't clash, because the time slots are the same. Yeah. Because of all the modules being a part of iExplore, the time slots are the same, apart from the online ones. So if you have got an elective module, just be careful that you don't choose something that clashes with your iExplore. So unfortunately, no, only one iExplore module.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry, could you just confirm? So if I took iExplore in autumn term, I cannot still take Horizons in spring?
So the question is, can I take an iExplore module in autumn and then a Horizons one in spring? And the answer is no, because the Horizons modules are 2 terms. So they would be autumn and spring. So you couldn't fall halfway in between. So unfortunately, you would have to do that the following year.
Yeah, but you just plan ahead, in a way.
Yes.
And you can take Horizons as your iExplore.
So,
Yeah. That's, yeah. Yes.
So just to follow up, if I pick iExplore in first term, can I take iExplore again in second term, even if it's just not for credit? I just want to be
so if you take iExplore in the first term, can you take iExplore in the second term, not for credit?
Not if it's not the 10-week modules, no.
Because you've already
Other
fulfilled
than-
the iExplore
Yeah.
requirement.
Yeah. We don't have extra space. The thing is, there's over 3,000 students per year, so the modules fill up, and we can't therefore have extra spaces on them still as well. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, very good. If you do have very individual questions, feel free to come talk to us now, or send an email to iExplore@Imperial, and we can talk you through any of your own personal circumstances. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Bye.